And you are live. Okay.
Should I start with the presentation now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me for this first session today. And the topic is very, very timely because discussing with the boards of directors, discussing with shareholders and stakeholders, we received the perception of CISO that today is not exactly in the role of embracing every single opportunity they have to work with the boards. Suffice to say, only 7% of our responders of more than 1,000 different boards of directors said that the CISOs and cybersecurity are innovative. That leaves us with 93% of responders saying, well, cybersecurity, well, focusing on protection, but not focusing on innovation. And because of that, we can even say that maybe it's blocking the innovation. So that is fortunately changing, but it's still, there's a lot of things we should do. So during this session, I will give you more insight about the perception, but also what needs to be done to shift the role of CISO to the new next, let's say, generation CISO. My name is Piotr Ciepiela. I'm a partner responsible for architecture, engineering, and emerging tech globally at EY. And you may know me from being also pioneer and evangelist for OT and IoT security. But today we'll be focusing on changing role of CISO in the smart connected world. Okay, so let's start a little bit with our responders. So as I said, we've launched something that is called Global Information Security Survey. And some of the statistics you can see over here showing how boards are seeing the cybersecurity. Now, first of all those organizations saying that they have significant breach in the last 12 months. 59% significant breach. It is not the standard breach, but actually a significant one, which means that security right now is really on the top level of the agenda of the stakeholders. We're also seeing that it is not only, let's say, technical matter, right? It is more focused on also people aspect. And you can see that only 26% are saying that those breaches were detected by Security Operations Center. So over here, this needs to be definitely expanded. But from the perspective of today's session, I think that the last two results are most important. First of all, only 1/5 of the board are saying they're confident in cybersecurity mitigation measures. Well, that leaves us with 80% that they are not. And over here, when we are discussing with boards and also with let's say new gen CISOs, the most important aspect of a new CISO is to be expanding beyond today's mission, to extend the network within the organization and outside the organization and expand the presence. It is very important aspect over here because the boards are saying the following: we are not seeing CISO on the management meetings, and this is let's say very good observation, because when we talk with CISO, only 29% of them are saying that they are attending the board of directors meetings at least once a quarter. I'm not saying every month, once a quarter. And also, when they get there, the feedback that we are having is sometimes they are very technical. Sometimes they're using abbreviations. Sometimes they are using very technical language. So the boards are really confused. Is the situation good or situation is bad? They don't know. Now, if they keep reading in the newspapers that something is happening, security is very important, there are some breaches, the millions of dollars are being lost, they want to have a clear answer or clear picture from the CISOs. What is the today's situation? And if the CISO is really siloed, if the CISO is talking about only maybe IT security, not nothing else, if it's more reactive, if it's more compliant driven, well, that raises some concerns. And we are seeing right now that the new CISOs are actually going beyond this. And I will talk about it because we are seeing more and more CISOs like this in today's world. So I'll put in phases what needs to be done in order to get there. Now, the last thing is 36% of organizations think cybersecurity is involved from the very beginning. Well, this is important matter. This actual percentage increased a little bit, which is great, but still talking all the time about secure by design, having security blended into our operations, right? 36% is still very low. Now, when we were discussing this, some of the departments were saying very openly, we are afraid that if we'll involve cybersecurity, they actually will slow us down, right? So we need to change this perspective to say like, well, actually, security can slow you down when you are not include them from the very, very beginning, right? So this is still a work to be done, but it's actually a much, much better situation than it used to be 1 and 2 years ago. Okay, so here's a slide. I would definitely not say this is very eye opener. Actually, I put this slide together to give you some kind of ammo to say, look, it is very easy to get any data you would need to support your discussions, right? If we are having Warren Buffett, right, CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, saying that cybersecurity is the #1 problem for mankind, right? That means everyone now realizes this is a very important topic, right? Everyone wants to talk about it. When you look at the statistics, you can have all the statistics in the world. You can have billions of malwares. You can have also increase in the emerging technology like IoT malware. It is not like 1 or 2 examples. It's millions of examples. You can have the average cost of breach almost $4 million. That's an average, which means like we are keep hearing there's more and more, right? And of course, it is not going to slow down. If you look at this, 230,000 of malware produces every day, which means like every 2 seconds we have two new malwares, right? By the time I finish this presentation, you will have 5,000 new malwares. So you can easily get this information, right? And this is something that can help you out in these conversations. Okay, so why the situation has changed dramatically, right? Why we cannot have CISOs in silos? Well, he's part of the answer, right? All the ecosystems like IT, industrial control systems, IoT, they're all converging, right? For those organizations focused on IT, they see that for the last 25, 30 years, we are going, like from isolated system, and you can see that this on the bottom of the slide, to unification of technologies, centralized system, and around year 2000 with centralized systems, we actually had a security problem, because if something will happen to our centralized system, for instance, in banking industry, that's a huge problem, right? Of course, it also like gives you a lot of effectiveness and things related to that, but the security is from with us from at least 20 years. Now, for the companies with industrial control systems, and it's more like manufacturing, oil and gas, power utilities, but also financials, because they have buildings, right? And buildings have building management systems, and this considered to be also a part of OT. Well, we have let's say 50 years of delay, right? Because we were focusing on different things, and also like security. Let's say like adversaries were not really that attracted by industrial control systems. Now it's different, right? So the technology shift, we inherit all the problems from IT. We have legacy systems from OT, and around 2 years ago, we have emerging technologies like AI, but also IoT, like industrial and standard IoT, trespassing into the OT world, and actually at the same or even faster pace than in IT. So if you look from the CISO perspective, the CISO perspective is not only I have to take care of IT, which is always a challenge, but also if I need to look at the controllers, OT environment. I need also to look at the emerging technology from IoT perspective and all the things happening at the same time. So today, breaking the barriers and discussing with different departments and having like a broader understanding and better communication with the board are crucial. Just to give you two statistics over here. In terms of networking, only 26% of CISO are discussing security with marketing department, right? Which I think it's kind of like important to have this conversation. But even more, only 36% of them are discussing security with R&D. Like with marketing, we can discuss this, but R&D department are usually the ones that are bringing new technologies, like IoT technologies, implementing them, testing them, tuning them, and also sometimes leaving them for working. So only 36% of the CISO are talking with them. So you can see over here, a close cooperation of all those departments, right, across, it's crucial. So today's CISO, needs to be perceived as agent of change, but also very important person actually combining all those departments and discussing with all those departments. Okay, right. So in terms of ecosystems, who is this person, right? This is Dick Cheney, right? 46 Vice President of US. Now, the reason we are having this person over here is that it is one of the best simple example of how we are changing the technology change the security landscape, right? So at some point, he has asked his doctor to remove his pacemaker, right? He had a problem with his heart. He needed to have a pacemaker because he realized it can be manipulated. It can be accessed remotely. So he said, cyber attack is very, is actually possible. Someone can actually hack into my, like pacemaker, inside of my body, and do something with that. So that was actually removed. Encryption was installed, and all the security measures. But actually, this one was showing that IoT, especially, is, and the OT is kind of we are entering the cyber physical aspect of the game, right? If you are in the digital world, I'm sorry to say that, but sometimes we are saying this is kind of like safe place, right? What can happen? Your laptop can stop work. But if you have a cyber physical, if you have controllers on the shop floor, we are talking about safety. If you have like IoT devices that is actually connected to ourselves somehow, this is something that is impacting the life and safety. So we are going beyond the digital world and actually impacting ourselves. Okay, so having said that, the CISOs today, the role is really important to go beyond and discuss security aspects with other departments to make sure that we are not only thinking about protecting this, but also using, let's say, IoT, AI, all the emerging technologies in order to protect our environment, right? So you may see today that the new CISOs, and we're having more and more of them, are actually more agent of change. They are more discussing about security. They are more coming into the organization as managers, not only technical SMEs, and they are expanding the presence, not only discussing the security from the technical perspective, but also discussing security from a very people-oriented perspective, right? If you remember this 26% with SOC, there's a lot of things still happening because of our of our awareness or lack of awareness of people of security. Okay, so let's go to myth and urban legends, right? First of all, and this is what the actually the CISO's challenges, right? Our sector is not a target. Well, most of the sectors today are targets, but even so, let's pretend for a second your sector is not a target. That doesn't really matter, because you can still be hacked. Sometimes attackers don't care which sector it is. It's not targeted attack. They're actually using some, needing some computer power. So you can be not maybe target, but still you can be hacked, right? The one thing on the left side is compliance is not equal cybersecurity, and that's again a fact. I'm a huge fan of compliance. I think it's a great head start. I think it's a great thing to make things in a very structured way. But at the same time, compliance does not necessarily mean cybersecurity, because compliance usually following some of the regulations, following some of the standards, and those are the ones that needs to be updated every time. And we are not just there yet, right? I'm involved in many of those, updates. But like it's just like it's a huge challenge, and it's a game, right? We are updating, and something new is happening. The cybersecurity is solely the IT department's responsibility. That's one of the biggest challenge, right? The biggest challenge is to say security is going across the organization. It is not IT department's responsibility. And one of the things really important and connected to that is it is tied to IT budgets. So if it's tied to IT department responsibility, you probably won't be able to get the bigger budget for your CC organization. And the last one is cybersecurity jeopardized digital transformation program. Now, this sounds like excuse, but actually, when we are discussing about digital transformation with stakeholders and shareholders, they're saying they have a number of things they're saying why they're not doing this. Unfortunately, security is on the first place. Yeah, it's a great excuse. So of course we need to change it. We need to shift this perception, right? Of course, security needs to be transparent. It needs to be there. It cannot really slow us down. And if we think about it, you won't drive a car without a seatbelts, right? So if the car is great and it's shiny and it's fantastic, but you don't have the seatbelts, probably you will not use it, right? We need to have the same thing, but you cannot have more than this 2 seconds of fastening a seatbelt. Like if it's more than this 2 seconds, if it's like just more than that, it will definitely slow down the digital transformation. So it needs to be balanced. Now, let us see about the team, right? So if you look from the perspective of challenges in today's world, we talk about safety. We talk a little bit about discussing with different departments, but we are seeing also a lot of things related to for instance, quality, right? So in quality environment, we have situation when smart attackers is not really impacting your production that much. Smart attackers are changing your quality, right? And the best examples I always have is that, if you decrease the quality of your product, whatever you're doing, you're producing, you're creating some application, if you decrease it just a little bit, right? It's always more impactful than stopping the whole installation, stopping the whole production. Because the end user will get a little bit, product with a little bit decreased quality, but maybe him or her will not like it, and they will just post it on the social media. And basically, that will backfire a lot, right? So today we have different perspectives, right? And because of that, because of this number of data, we need not only technical view. We need very business-oriented view. And over here, you can see this gentleman of him, and some things that you were saying that the CISO team were very pure technical some time ago, pen testing and this on network security. Now this is still very valid, but realistically, we need to have multi-skilled people. If you look at the job offers, right, the CISO are seeing this, right? So more and more CISO are looking for more managerial skills, more skills like advanced analytics, communications, and so on and so forth, right? Because those people need to not only address the technical aspects, but also be able to understand the huge big data sources. They need to understand that we are actually chasing the quality, safety, and so on and so forth, rather than just siloing in the more technical aspects. So this is the situation it's having. And of course, this CISO are saying, like, I have 25 years of experience rather than I'm 25 years old, right? So what can I do with that? Of course, CISO can use a lot of let's say available resources. One of which is actually we have more and more Gen Z on the market, and Gen Z, you can see this very young person over here, and actually this is not fun. I mean those people are actually born with tablets in their hands, and they're thinking completely different. I mean, they're always connected. They are always having access to everything, to the data, right? And from our perspective, right, the situation is we are thinking really differently about it. What it means is we need to make use of these people, because if they will have really great ideas, they will look at the world a little bit different, and not asking them, not using the knowledge they have, not actually like opening to those new ideas, it is a threat actually, right? So this is the most important thing in creation a new team, is actually to be very open to those people that are actually understanding technology far better than we are. And of course, our teams cannot really consist of every single SME, right? So the aspect of expanding the network, having peers organizations, or even organization, and I'm seeing this more and more from other sector, but with the same challenges, right? So we're not competing on the market, right? But we have this merit bridge, right? So we are discussing very similar aspects because we tend to have some of the similarities. So creating those ecosystems, because otherwise we won't be able to address everything. And of course, promote the new emerging technologies as also something that will help us out. Okay, let's move quickly forward. Last 5 minutes. Usual things you can use, right? Let's focus on the next one. Awareness, still very important. As I said, boards, but also directors and everyone wants to know about this cybersecurity, but they want to know about cybersecurity from their perspective, right? So right language, but also bringing really awareness to everyone. It's responsible for to everyone, because now we have all this access, and to be honest, we are all responsible for security, right? We cannot really close it like 20 years ago in the data center and that's it. Everyone has access to the data. Everyone is processing the data right now, so awareness is important. And the governance, over here, I want to say one thing, and it's a trap. Sometimes we are confusing governance with good relations, right? Saying, yeah, we have a great relations with marketing, with R&D department, with engineering department, and we are doing together something, right? But do you really have impact? If there's something very, very needed, can you actually implement this, right? If there's no solid line or at least dotted line of reporting, right? You cannot rely on this, right? You cannot rely on something that you eat lunch with someone and you can say that we have great relations, everyone understands it. The governance is going beyond, like the right ITOT security governance is right now really changing the operating model of the companies. So this is really crucial to implement it as well. Okay, what about the budget? Here, one thing that is important. Everyone is talking about the budget, but there's a huge change right now in the paradigm, and I think this is important to have to understand. If you have assets that costs like $1,000. Let's say it's a valve or tablet or laptop, whatever. Or like, you have, we are right now moving from those heavy assets to more light physical assets, right? Or even digital assets, right? The cost of them is like, 1,050 or one cent. Now, the problem is, if you look from this security cost perspective, the $1,000 asset will, security and protection of it will cost 50. Light physical asset will cost 50 as well, right? On average. And in terms of digital assets, it will also cost 50, right? So if you have a sensor that costs like $1, right? How you need to convince that it is not, the paradigm is changing. It is not about only having the paradigm is changing because we don't have, let's say, the situation today that we cannot spend more on security than the asset cost, because that was the case, right? Therefore, what is happening today is we need to look from the ecosystem perspective. If the sensor costs $1, but basically, it is worth in our ecosystem, it is worth, 1,000, because actually it replaced the heavy asset. We need to sometimes spend more money than actually asset cost, right? And some final things. I have one more minute. Final thoughts. And this is again based on the conversation both with boards of directors and CISO, like your new next gen CISO that are more and more visible, is the following. Of course, business focus. Discuss this with business language. Break the barriers. Make your network. Expand your network. Discuss with other departments. Also have an impact on other departments. Ask for that. And of course, discuss the secure by design. Make sure that this will embed security from the very beginning. Okay, I think I'm on time. Are there any questions?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Peter, for such a wonderful presentation. For such a wonderful presentation that you have delivered to us, and I hope and I'm sure that it will add value to all our attendees who is participating in the event. I will request to my all attendees to ask the questions related to presentations in the main chat, and Peter will be available to give answers to all the questions. I hope it's okay for everyone. Okay, so now we will. So now we will be moving towards our next presentation, which will be given by Miguel Petrus from Darktrace, and the topic of the presentation will be changing cyber landscape, the battle of algorithms. Okay, so in few minutes we will be going to the next presentation. Thank you.